I have a separate checking account that I use just for all of my supplements because I spend thousands of dollars a month on them. Okay, not the truth. Reality is there's only a few that I take every day, year round. The way that I treat my supplements is I almost categorize them. I categorize them into the ones that I use daily, the ones that I use for performance, ones that I use specifically for gut health, and then ones that I use a little bit more in the winter time, right? So I'm never taking like a bunch all at once. I rotate things that I take, and hopefully I can share my experiences so that you can grab a little bit of this and apply it to yourself. So I'll just jump into the ones that I do take daily, because these are ones that I think are really important. I take a Dimagnesium Malate, which is magnesium that is bound to a malic acid. This makes it so it's more sustained release. There's a couple of different brands out there. I use one from a brand called Jigsaw, and I range anywhere from 250 milligrams of Dimagnesium Malate to 500. Now, one thing that you can notice with Dimagnesium Malate is it sometimes can make your heart rate jump up a little bit higher, so you get out of the aerobic zone a little faster. That cannot always be a good thing. So what I will sometimes do is swap out the Dimagnesium Malate for a magnesium glycinate. The reason I even use magnesium in the first place is because it helps me sleep, because it helps my muscles feel a lot more recovered after a hard workout, but most importantly, it keeps my mind feeling calm. I tend to run a little bit hot and a little bit anxious sometimes, and that just helps a ton. The second one that I take daily that I'll pack with me even when I'm traveling is going to be Cod Liver Oil. I don't really take a concentrated omega-3 supplement too much anymore. I take cod liver oil because I get my vitamin D, I get my vitamin A, and I get my omega-3s. And I'll range anywhere from 500 milligrams all the way up to 5,000 milligrams of cod liver oil. Sometimes I'll take a whole lot of it, depending on where my omega-3 is in my diet, right? I'll tend to kind of fluctuate it. I'm not a huge fan of taking synthetic vitamin D. I've been pretty outspoken about this. I get my vitamin D from Whole Foods and from cod liver oil. Synthetic vitamin D, it sketches me out a little bit just because we're not solving the root problem. We're just like adding a vitamin in, and we're not really factoring in the reason why we're low in vitamin D. So adding a synthetic vitamin D isn't always the best. I don't have an issue with people taking it to get their levels up, but I have naturally pretty good levels of vitamin D, so I just sustain it through cod liver oil. I take 2,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily. Now, the literature actually suggests that it really, as far as a prophylactic is concerned, doesn't matter whether it's ascorbic acid or from a whole food source type of vitamin C supplement. I still prefer to use a whole food vitamin C source. So I'll use like a one that comes from like acerola cherry or something like that. So it's a really good quality vitamin C. So I use that especially when I'm training hard, okay? Because prophylactically, it can be very good if you're using it like when you are taxing your body or you're exposed to a lot of cold temperatures. It can actually have a big impact there. An obvious one, protein powder. I would say I almost use either whey or plant-based protein powder pretty much every day. I tend to alternate them depending on what I'm doing. I use whey protein if I need more of an insulin spike and I'm going for more of like a muscle repair. I use plant-based protein powders when I'm looking for a little more fiber. I'm looking for maybe a little bit more substance and a little bit more of a meal replacement. Another thing that I take is I'll take creatine. I usually do a pretty low dose creatine. I'm very sensitive to the water retention from creatine, which some will tell you isn't a thing. It's a thing. And some people are more sensitive to it than others. So I usually take anywhere from 1 to 5 grams. I will go higher if I have a serious demand, but it's usually going to be in the winter when I'm not as worried about like looking as lean because the water retention is a real thing. So usually I notice a difference with like even 2 to 3 grams of creatine. I would say almost daily I take a probiotic. I take a good quality one. The one that I take is from that company called Seed, which I've talked about before. This isn't even a sponsored video for them. It's just the reality. If you are taking a probiotic or you're looking at taking a probiotic, the best advice that I can give you with that is do not take it with food. Okay, the hydrochloric acid when you consume food along with a probiotic is going to break down a lot of the good stuff there. The other thing that I take pretty much daily, it's hard to consider it a supplement, but it's going to be electrolytes, okay? And if I can't get my hands on electrolytes, I'll usually even add salt to water. So the amount that I am active and the amount of like pretty low carb that I eat, I feel like it's important to add some of those minerals back in. So usually I use element electrolytes, but If I'm in a pinch, I'll use other ones too. No pun intended. Now this next category is really important because I have a specific category just for gut repair. Okay, now gut repair / gut health. Now the probiotics I don't put into the gut health category because I think that's just a bigger piece that I look at. But with gut health, like if you've been sick or you've been training really hard, you might need to increase certain things for your gut. So there's a different category there. So in one case, I'll take glutamine. So the only time I'll really take glutamine is if I feel like I have potential gut lining damage. For example, a few months ago, I had a parasite and it really did a lot of damage to my gut lining. So adding glutamine back in to repair the gut, that's one of the few situations that glutamine actually has scientific evidence behind it. As far as muscle building, anything else, glutamine's kind of a joke. Okay, don't ever use it for building muscle, it won't do anything. But if you're dealing with gut repair, it is quite important. Same category is gonna be collagen. So if I'm really focused on gut, I will take in collagen. There are periods of time when I add collagen like 5 grams to 10 grams like every day if I'm putting it in my coffee. There's certainly no reason that you can't do that. Like that definitely works well. But if I'm focused on gut health, I will usually opt for bone broth instead of straight collagen powder. I like getting it from the actual whole food source and getting like the gelatin in it. And I feel like it just assimilates a little bit better in sort of a whole food form. Whenever possible, it's been a while, but I used to make it. That was always great. Otherwise, I usually use Kettle Fire. They're usually the best flavor for me, and they're the OG in the space. I went ahead, I put a link down below if you want to try them out. They have grass-fed beef bone broth. They also have chicken bone broth. They also have different varying soups. So they have like tomato soup. They have all kinds of different flavors, which are going to be soups made with bone broth. So it kind of gets a little bit more fun. So it's like, do you consider it a supplement or do you consider it a food? So they also add apple cider vinegar to it. So it's helping with the mineralization. It's helping you you're gonna find when you use it that it doesn't have this like overpoweringly salty taste like a lot of bone broths do. It actually has a really rich taste. You can almost taste the bone. You can taste that like marrow-like taste, which is what makes Kettle Fire really the gold standard when it comes down to bone broth. So that link is down below. That saves you a few bucks if you want to try them out using that special link. So it's in the top line of the description underneath this video. If you are trying to remodel your gut, I think paying attention to the gut lining and the collagen and the mucosal support are probably the most overlooked piece. Everyone focuses on the actual probiotics and the microbiome. That's just one piece. What about the actual epithelial cells? Like what about the actual lining? That is even more important in many situations to take care of the actual cells there because the microbiome can remodel. Otherwise, we're talking about like an organ tissue that really needs repair. So anyway, that link is down below. There's also a product I use occasionally called Megamucosa. This is from a company called Microbiome Labs. I learned about it from Dr. Scott Schur, who had told me, again, after the parasite. So if you're looking at gut lining stuff, it's got 4 different amino acids in it. So that's one that I'll take like a half a scoop every day for like 2 weeks if I got sick or if I felt like my stomach's been disrupted or things just feel off. Okay, now let's talk about the supplements that I'll take during the winter time, because I do take different things in the winter time. Okay, for one, this one is less of a supplement and it's actually more of an RX. So it's something that you might have to talk to your doctor about. So I can't tell you to just go on Amazon and get it, but it's called LDN, low dose naltrexone. Now, this is being used a lot of times in like sort of longevity medicine now. People are using this. I take a very low dose. I take 3 milligrams. Naltrexone is one of those things where it's used in like alcoholism. It's used because it blocks the opioid receptor. So it makes it so that if you have a propensity to drink or a propensity to do drugs, it can actually stop that at a higher dose, like 50 milligrams. Very low dose doesn't really have that effect, but it does downregulate inflammatory responses within your body. So in the winter time, like if you have kids and they're bringing home sicknesses all the time, in the winter time, it's a really good thing for me because it lowers that inflammatory state a little bit. So if I do end up picking up something from the kids, I can usually cycle through pretty quick and my body can come back to homeostasis faster before I get hit with the next one, because otherwise you end up kind of going down this spiral. Now, it also allows you to have a fighting chance a little bit more too. So that might be something to talk to your doc about, but it's worth mentioning because it's definitely part of my like winter routine. Another part of my winter routine is N-Acetyl-Cysteine, NAC. This is really just good for overall respiratory health. Okay, there's a lot of stuff there, but it also is good, of course, for glutathione production, all kinds of things that are kind of in that pathway. But that's not why I take it. I take it for respiratory health, especially in the wintertime when there's all kinds of stuff floating around. And then we get into the adaptogen world in wintertime. I take Astragalus. Okay, now Astragalus is one of these things, I've always found that like herbs and adaptogens work best when you don't take them all the time. They work best when you take them when you need them. Okay, so like if you feel run down and you take Astragalus, it seems to have this impact of kind of helping regulate whatever is going on. Adaptogens are quote unquote smart, and it sounds like very woo-woo-y and weird, but if you do any research at all on mushrooms, on mycelium, on that whole world, you realize that these are very intelligent things, right? And when you are using them, when you're compromised, that tends to be when they help you. So Astragalus is something that I don't take regularly. I take it during the winter time. Again, when there's lots of things floating around, I tax my body very hard. So all these different things I'm talking about, and I still have more in the performance category, are things that I cycle in and out. So people think, oh, Thomas, you must take like $500 worth of supplements every month. No, it's maybe $100 if you include the protein powder. Like it's not that much, like in total amount that I take each month. Anyhow, moving into the performance category, one that I take that is dirt cheap that you probably know I'm going to talk about is taurine. I'll take anywhere from 3 grams to 6 grams of taurine. I'll take that pre-workout, sometimes I'll take it post-workout, all different places that I'll take it. But it is definitely something that allows me to push it harder. It's a very massive like reactive oxygen species neutralizer. So it oxidizes or neutralizes oxidative stress very well. So much so that you can literally feel it while you're training. Okay, you can feel a big difference there. So it's very good for that delayed onset muscle soreness. Notice a big impact there. But I also notice that I can push that time to exhaustion a lot more. So if I'm pushing it hard, I will increase the taurine even more. Beta-Alanine is something that I'll take not super regularly, but if I'm going to be doing like a Metcon style workout where I'm in that range where I'm really getting that lactic acid burn or that feeling there, that hydrogen ion buildup, like if I'm in that range, if I'm going for just brute strength, I won't bother taking it. If I'm doing endurance work, I won't bother taking it. So I'll usually take it like 1 to 2 days per week on my larger CrossFit style days. Another one that's kind of in that same category along with that is Rhodiola Rosea, which I can take along with beta-alanine. I actually have used even Lane Norton's pre-workout before that has both of those in there that feels really good. Same kind of category there, like it's an adaptogen that helps on the performance side. Alpha-Lipoic Acid, that's another one that I take if I'm increasing my endurance work. So if I'm doing a lot more running or I'm doing a lot more cycling, a lot more like cardiometabolic stuff, the Alpha-Lipoic Acid is something I'll take like 600 milligrams after longer workouts. And only then, I don't take it daily, I just take it after those longer workouts. And it seems to help reduce the soreness and it boosts my HRV quite a bit. So my heart rate variability increases quite a bit. I feel really good the next day and a noticeable difference if I don't take it. And then lastly, from a performance side of things, I'll take Colostrum. And usually the brand that I take is Armra because it actually has the biopotent technology where it stays, it keeps the actual compounds active versus heating it and denaturing it. The jury is still out on a lot of colostrum stuff, but personally I've noticed like anecdotally that I feel really good when I take it, but I also only take it when I'm pushing the boundaries a little bit more. I don't take it necessarily every single day, but I notice a difference in my recovery when I do take it. So that's all I can think of right now that I have in my actual cabinets. I'm sure there's more that come in and out, like nicotinamide mononucleotide I'll take now and then for spurts. Currently I'm not, but I'll probably go back on it in like February or March. Bottom line is things are always changing, and that's why I do these updated videos. So as always, I'll see you tomorrow.